look pretty out of it because I took a shower earlier today, and I was like, I'm gonna be like 15-minute nap, just roll like a cat, bounce back, nimbly bimbly.
Yeah.
And I woke up like 30 minutes ago.
Ooh,
so
right.
Yeah, so I'm like, no clue what's happened. I'm just here.
You're
life.
Loaded up on projects right now, aren't you?
Yes. I literally have a project from a former student of mine who is a multi-millionaire fighter pilot for the Air Force.
Sounds right.
Owns multiple companies. Super cool guy. I'm actually talking to him on Facebook as I'm sitting here figuring out his order. Then as far as the channel goes, my God, what don't we have coming up? I actually just got done setting up a time with Brian from H&H Creations Tampa, which is that's the wood, plywood, MDF distributor that a lot of people we've sent their way because they've got good quality stuff.
Yeah.
We've got the Business 101 stuff coming out soon. We've got really cool video called, can I say the one with plastic?
Yeah.
There you go. It's called Plastic Payday. Because, right?
I like it.
Yeah, and I was sitting there thinking, like, it's basically how to turn $40 into 500.
Yeah.
You know, so really cool, fun, easy project that everybody's got a gantry or a galva can do. And so just a lot of stuff in the chamber, man.
Yeah, that's
Thanks,
awesome.
Matt.
We have a question in chat for you, Michael.
Yes.
It says, "The will come." What's up with your thing down there? Laser it, the will come. I think that's the word.
They will go.
Laser and they will come.
Yeah.
They will come.
You know,
The will come.
Yeah, the will come.
The will come in, as the Germans.
I think that's from a few weeks ago.
Nice.
Alex knows I've always been an excellent speller.
Dude, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
He looks like
If I know anything, it's that when I can't remember how to spell something, I'd call Michael up. I'm like, yo, dude. And he just like, boom, he just whips it out like 30 letter words that, silent vowels and consonants, and he's just, whipping them out.
German words like welcome in.
Yeah.
What's up? I mean, so Michael, promo yourself real quick for a minute here before we get into questions. Tell me about this fiber cleaner, dude. How's it going? Because you teased it the last time you were on with us, and now the episode's out.
Yeah, the episode's out. So it's a really cool machine. I did that video because obviously who wouldn't want to play with a real laser gun? That's basically what it is, a real powerful laser. It's a lot of power. The thing that Alex and I we're familiar with. We've had that kind of power in our hands before, but not quite in a handheld way.
Not in a fashion maybe where you could point it at someone.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be Bond villain because we used to have like the fiber cutter. But that is like you literally have to strap them down and then say evil things to them while you wait for the laser to like cut them in half. This is like cyberpunk instead.
Yeah. So off camera, I've done some testing to see how far I can stand back and if it still affects things off in the distance, out of focus. And it's so powerful it does. Like up to
you can trim your tree branches.
Like 30, 40 feet away, it'll catch stuff on fire.
Ooh,
oh my God.
So you got to really, just be mindful of that. But you know what I like about it the most, Alex, is that it is a very simple machine. There is nothing fancy about it. It's just pure raw power. It doesn't even have all the cool shapes. It's just got one shape. It's like a half, like a piece of an ellipse,
And it's cleaning or it isn't.
Oh, it cleans.
No. I mean, like those are its two.
Yeah, that's
statuses.
It. Yeah, it's either on or off, and it doesn't have. The lowest you can go is like 20%, which is still like 200 watts.
Wow.
Or like 10%, which is still 200 watts. So that machine is really designed for doing a lot of rust removal in a big area quickly, not really fine-tuned stuff. Yeah. But I will drop you a hint that I do have something coming that is a little bit more fine-tuned, and it has the letters MOPA in it.
Word.
Yeah, and it's also in the cleaning category, and I'll be doing some videos on that as well.
You mean MARPA? Marba.
So
Marba.
it's a cool machine, and it runs off of 240. You don't need, remember that big transformer we had?
That's cool.
Yeah.
When we rent, but I think that was because we needed to drive those servos
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
in the machine.
Needed that
So-
3-phase to actually move the gantry around.
It doesn't need 3-phase, which is one of the reasons I kind of was like, yeah, let's check it out, because I can do 240.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have to tap the neighborhood transformer in order to turn it on.
No. And I of course my channel is mostly about laser engraving, but everyone's just going to have to forgive me. I love lasers just like Alex does, and that kind of laser power I can't not use.
The guys have been awash with envy. They've just been talking about it nonstop.
I
Ever
literally
since you
told them,
uploaded
like,
that
if
video,
we need
all
another
I hear
person.
about, it's like I'm calling them to do stuff for work, or like we're in like group huddles in Slack, and it's like instead of work, everybody's just like, I need to get a fiber cleaner. They'll want it now. And to explain too, so you have another video that you published, where you like can see the infrared beam via like carbon powder somehow. What's going on? Is it vaporizing the powder, and that's what you're seeing?
I mean, I thought about like what different mediums could I use that aren't going to combust in the air. Right? Like I was trying to thinking of things like that wouldn't, like all of a sudden the whole cloud of it like catches on fire.
Right.
And fiber lasers are really good at disintegrating carbon. Right? Period. Like, that's what they do.
Right.
So I was like, well, I'll just get activated charcoal powder, really
Nice.
fine activated charcoal powder, and put it in a little pumper sprayer for doing powder. And that actually just kind of helped visualize, because the IR camera isn't really tuned for 1064.
Right.
It's,
I think
it's in
IR
the-
cameras stop around like 960.
Yeah, exactly. So it gets close and it helps, but it needed that extra push to have some particles in the air to really kind of.
Well, that was a cool idea to think about it that way, so that you could process it. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah, and the obviously the footage it takes isn't like 4K or anything, but it got my point across. And it's like, you know me, I'm always goofing around here trying to do weird stuff. So when it worked, it was that moment, when you get it to work,
Yeah.
you're like looking through the camera and you're like, oh, this is going to be a fun video.
And that's a short one too. It's like 3 minutes long
Yeah,
or
it's
something
just
like
me
that. It's
running.
super quick. If you guys haven't seen it already, I definitely
Yeah.
recommend going to watch it. It takes very little time, and you get to see the beam fly through the air like a laser light show at a Jimi Hendrix concert, and it's fun. So
Pure entertainment. I made it just for entertainment,
just for fun.
a little bit of education and a lot of entertainment.
I
Go
have
check it out.
something very cool coming. That's going to be a lot of
Oh my
fun
God.
and a lot of entertainment.
He's so excited
I've
about
heard
this
you
thing.
whispering about it, and I'm getting very excited about it, whatever it is.
Dude, it's called the Cron Technologies Chronos, and it shoots 40,000 frames per second.
You need like bum bum bum. Yeah.
It's like borderline
There you go.
slow-mo guys level slow. Like
Yeah.
it's starting to get into like what they can do. Of course, the resolution is going to be poor because it's not a Phantom Flex.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like $180,000 camera, but it should allow us to see the individual pulses of the laser.
So are you going to maybe add a little pixie dust like I did to help kind of capture that?
Dude,
you may not need the IR camera.
I don't
you may
think
just need to add the pixie
so
dust.
here's the thing. It has a user removable IR filter, first of all. So
Well,
you can
I'll
literally
go
just
for that.
pull the IR filter off of the sensor. The second thing is it's compatible with a microscope lens. So I'll be able to actually get down to like the size where you're looking at the individual, like a
Yes.
sewing machine.
Yes.
Thunk, thunk, thunk. Because when you zoom out and speed up to real time, the laser just looks like a fan, right? It's just wow.
Yep.
And if you slow that down, what it really is the galvo going wah, 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 and it's just moving really, really fast. So it appears like a fan, but really it's a line that's just moving back and forth really fast. If you slow that down, and you know this, these are pulsed lasers. So that beam that's moving back and forth isn't
Right.
really a beam.
No.
It's a bunch of little pulses, and we're going to try to capture those pulses at 40,000 frames per second with the Chronos.
I have no doubt that you will capture it in all of its glory.
I'm really excited to be able to share that with people.
Yeah.
So one thing too that Willie Sims just mentioned in chat, he said it would be really cool to see the different materials and the reflective properties that we talk about all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what we had talked about. Like one of the first things that I said to Alex was, wouldn't it be cool as hell if you could like film infrared, and instead of telling everybody, like we've been telling you, hey, wear the glasses, even if you're not like 45 degrees off or whatever, you know, like just because the saturation of the space with infrared. And he goes, well, actually, it will film it. And I was like, yes. And so like if you can actually show people like the flashes of light that are happening in such quick succession.
Yeah.
The other thing too that I thought would be really cool is being able to show people frequency or something really cool.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely. Frequency would be really easy to show, because if you get the camera focused on a material and you set it to 25 kilohertz at a fast speed, like 1,000, right? You're going to see X number of pulses within a certain amount of space. And then if you turn that speed way down, you're going to see way more pulses in a smaller area, because it's literally the galvanometer is pushing that beam across slower with the same number of pulses. So you're pushing your pulses together. We'll be able to explain a lot of concepts about lasers in ways that we've never even been able to think about doing before. Yeah, so
That's awesome.
It's really cool.
By the way, there was a question that we missed from Cuban Cracked that asked Michael, how much did that laser cost? I don't know if that's something you covered in the video.
Yeah. I covered it.
As far as the unit cost, I think that was at the end, maybe.
Yeah, so you can actually get it directly from SFX, and I think it hovers somewhere around 15 to 16K. It's really, I told you, it's not a lot of bells and whistles.
Yeah,
it's just raw, controlled power.
Yeah,
It's just raw power.
I love that you grabbed the SFX too, because we're big fans of SFX over here.
Yeah.
So it was neat to see that pop back up. Did you talk to Venus, or did you have a different
I did.
sales?
I talked
you
to
did.
Venus,
Dude,
and
Venus is the man.
At first he was like, hey, Alex is great. You know, he did a great video for the fiber laser. Would you like us to send you a fiber laser? And I was like, actually, I had something else in mind.
Yes,
And,
but also more.
Yeah, and then we had the conversation from there, and he was like, yes, we need a video in America of someone really showing what this machine can do.
Venus has been begging me to take a fiber cleaner for so long, and I've just not had the capacity to like handle. We've got so many other projects going on around here, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just not been something that I've had the time to do. So I'm really glad that you got to pick one up, and I get to watch it on your channel instead.
Yeah, I don't mind.
I'll do the review.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
All you see is Boyce's background of bricks fucking lasered all over the place.
Alex, you can come to Georgia anytime, and we can do a week series of just cleaning everything.
You know I'm gonna. Let's see. I just wanted to shout out Anthony real quick. Anthony says, hey everybody, another Tuesday, another late shift. Just wanted to drop in and say, hey, what up, Anthony, dude?
Hey,
What's up,
buddy.
Anthony?
Thanks for swinging by. John enjoyed the Slow-Mo Guys reference. It's hardly a reference, man. They have like 50 million subscribers or whatever. It's like everybody and their grandmother. Also, Daniel says, Alex, I saw that cool unboxing of the GZ Tech GM80 laser source. Did you get around to testing that yet? I'm about to pull the trigger on buying one. I have not gotten around to testing it yet, just based on the aesthetics and the feel of the thing when you take it. I mean, it just feels heavy duty. When you pull that kind of equipment out of the box, you can tell the heavy duty stuff from like the, like this is gonna fall. But it feels great. It looks great. I've seen it reviewed really positively from other people in the space. I would not hesitate to pull the trigger on it if you do. Certainly let them know you saw the unboxing. They're very upset with me right now because I promised them a fiber laser build project, which I have not started yet. So I need to get to that. That's
Telling you built a human being.
Bro, it's like I keep saying that to people, but I don't know if they are picking up what I'm putting down on that. So
They're like, we'll send baby goggles.
Yeah, for real. They're like, get to work. Yeah. So they did send that out, and we did unbox it. It feels really good. I have very good feeling about it. We've not started our build, so that we should do that soon. Actually,
So
we
it's
should
the
put that on Monday.
it's a JPT 80. What is it?
No. This is from GZ Tech.
Oh,
So,
GZ Tech.
yeah, so a bunch of dudes at JPT were like, JPT's not really innovating anymore, and
Oh,
we find that irritating. So they bailed, and they were just like, we're gonna make our own. So they started GZ Tech. That's my understanding of it. Of course, translated, and then probably translated again, and then told to me through a source from another source. But you know, that's kind of the short version. So I'm stoked to play with it. We mentioned a long time ago, I think before we were, before you were doing YouTube Hard, we were planning on doing like a fiber laser build from scratch. Our own controller, our own Galvo head. And that was the source. So they were like, hey, we'll send you a source. Just show it off while you're building the laser. And I was like, word, I can do that. So I'd really like to start that. We need to put that on Monday. I don't know, hey, Kyle, if you're listening, can you like?
Oh, I am. I'm here.
Okay, because I'm not going to remember that 10 minutes from now. But I'd really like to do that still. All right. So yes, GZ Tech, totally. I would go for it. That's at your own risk, but I would go for it.
See, Willie had a good comment here talking about using the new laser. Take that out to the tractor repair guys. Like literally, if you went to a show, like that's the kind of thing where if you like when I go to, there's a Saturday market near me. It literally has like the knife sharpening guy, and you pay cash only, and he just takes care of whatever you got. That's one of those things where you ask for a booth way down at the end. Like, it still has electricicity.
Bring your stuff to get cleaned.
That's it. And literally, it's like, I take cash or cash, and that's it. And
because it works really fast.
That's what, dude. Like, honestly, there's some of those things that people would totally bring to you and just be like, "Hey, you need to get rid of that powder coating real quick. I got you."
I was on Amazon recently looking for power supplies for this rig for LBX for our live broadcast. And I found Anchor actually sells power stations now that put out 220, 240. Like it's got the lock-in power connector. I forget what it's called or whatever, but it can literally power stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did you need a portable dryer?
I have a video coming up in a few weeks on portable power supplies, and this particular machine requires 6,000 watts when it's running at 100%. And I checked that with meters. I hooked up a special meter in line, and I saw how much it's actually drawing. It gets to about 30 amps plus, and it's about 6,000 watts.
What kind of breaker do you have? Is that a 50 amp breaker?
I put in a 240 50 amp just for this machine. Yeah. But what I really want to know is how many watts it's drawing when the chiller is running and the laser source, when they all, because the chiller doesn't run all the time. It only turns on when it needs to cool the head off and everything else.
Yeah, but compressors have like a high spike too when they start up.
They do. Right? So it kind of that's why I say 6,000. It's it kind of cruises at 4.5, but then it peaks up to 6,000 and then it comes back down. I'm
literally just laughing out loud because I'm thinking about the idea that I just had, and like you've got an extension cord going down the sidewalk, and some shop just keeps having like
brownouts.
Brownouts.
Yeah, they're sitting there like, damn, cash register won't work.
Yeah, but dude, you can definitely find a portable power supply to run your rig there, Alex, for sure.
Yeah, totally. John says soon Laser Everything will have 50 million subs. That would be nice. Let's advance that goal by smashing the like button if we haven't already. And it will not be in vain because we're broadcasting on LETV right now. So if you smash the like button, it will stay smashed, which means you won't have to smash it next Tuesday because it should still be smashed at that point.
All right.
Let's see. What's GZ Tech innovating? Sean's asking. Which part? Again, I don't have specifics. It's probably stuff over my head. I know one of the things that makes their sources stand out over the JPTs, for example, certainly things like Rakis, are the peak pulse output power. So instead of things capping off at like 1.5 or 2 millijoules, you might see things start to peak at like 3 to 5, depending on the source model. They have a really big catalog that goes into the details on all of that. But I know one of the things they were focusing on was getting those desktop style split machines, or like the little cart style machines, to be able to use sources that allow for higher peak pulse output power, because that's something that's been the same for a long time. And the issue there is that some of these sources, like the JPTs, basically just fiber lasers in general, I shouldn't even say JPTs, fiber lasers in general, the whole reason they're pulsing is because the internals, you've seen Michael's cleaner, it's huge, it's a big thing, it's got a big fat fiber optic cable in it. The fiber optic cables inside of your laser sources on the desktop units are not built to handle that much juice for that long. They literally will burn out or melt down or whatever it is they do.
They're really fine.
So they have to pulse instead. Right. They pulse that high power, and that even has a limit. If you push too much power through the fiber optics, you're going to damage the machine, so they have caps on the peak pulse output power. And one of the areas, again, according to my understanding of what I've been told in the conversations I've had, is that they're trying to push the limits of that. That's an area where they're, again, trying to perhaps innovate. I'm not a company rep. I don't want to make promises on behalf of them. Again, this is all kind of translated from a guy. So this is just kind of the tea that I've sipped, in my walks around with GZ Tech. But it looks very interesting. I'm still trying to teach myself about a lot of the stuff they have going on. And of course, all of that has been on hold because we've been working on the marketplace, working on LATV, and I've been having a baby and we've been moving. So I haven't really been in that headspace, so I'm going to have to do some refreshers. But when we get to installing it and building the fiber laser, hopefully I can get a little more specific, answering the questions you guys might have about it. So we will get to that for sure.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see that too, Alex, because I'm not going to ever build my own fiber laser, but I think that just watching you go through the process will help me understand better what I'm looking at should I need to go into my own fiber laser.
Right. I mean,
just seeing how everything kind of links together and understanding which part is controlling what, that's why I'm looking forward to your video.
Yeah, I think putting something like that together for a video series will be really beneficial, because if you understand how something is put together and how it works, I think you're that much more prepared to repair it or diagnose at the very least what's wrong.
Exactly.
If something happens, and even beyond that, probably better positioned to utilize the tool if you understand what's 100%. Inside of it and what's going on, instead of it just being like a dark mystery box. So yeah, definitely great point, dude. I'm stoked for it too, for the same reason I'm gonna learn. I'm definitely not going into this understanding 100% of what's going on in there. So
I feel like the one thing, I agree with what Michael's saying, and to add on to it, it's almost like when you look at a computer, like a PC that's in a tower, it looks like it's some kind of contraption with all these different things tying together, but then you realize it's actually just a few things that really make everything work, and it's actually not too complicated. It's not anything you should play around with, by the way, because the power source and all that stuff, will give you a little jolt, get your millijoule for real that way. But yeah, welcome to your millijoule. But a couple of questions that I saw. One was actually from Laura, Laser of Love Creations, way up at the top a while back. She had asked about glass. So hopefully she asked her question about glass engraving with Blazer Orange. Have you ever used that, Michael?
The Blazer Orange, the masking stuff, that specifically for laser etching. I have some on my wall. I have used it before. I think I think Alex and I experimented with that when we were doing sandblasting. We wanted to see if we could
Like how close
laser,
it was.
like put the mask on a glass, laser away what we wanted, and then bring it over to the sandblasting cabinet, and it worked okay.
I think we ran into issues with the rotary before we ran into issues with the orange. I think
I don't have anything wrong to say about the orange. Like I just don't specifically use it for that kind of masking, but it did work in theory.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know exactly what her question was, but I know because she's in a different chat or something's going on right now that's a little wonky. But I know her question actually said that she was trying to figure out, I guess, maybe the difference between the Blazer Orange versus using like a paper towel, like a wet paper towel as a mask, maybe.
Oh, no, she's talking about probably cooling the glass so it doesn't like shatter or break.
Yeah, go for it. Tell her what you know.
So, yeah, sometimes if you're working on thin wine glasses with the CO2 laser, there's some tricks that you could do to disperse the heat. This mostly applies to thinner wine glasses or thin glass. So one of the tricks you can do is you can use a kind of damp paper towel trick and put that in the laser. Well, you kind of just put it on the glass before you engrave. The laser will go right through it. The other thing you can do is on dish soap. You can just put a little bit on your finger and smear it around the area that you're going to laser etch on. Not super thick. And all it's doing is just dispersing heat, cooling things off. And then you, of course, could put a mask on it that would kind of disperse the heat. But really, it's just about, I would not recommend you do this for beer glasses or any kind of thick glass, highball glasses. You don't need to do this. It's just a waste of time. They're going to engrave just fine. It's only for really thin, fragile, expensive wine glasses. Yeah, that you would want to. My favorite, personally, is the dish soap. Works
really?
Great.
Wow.
Yep.
I was a big fan of the. I was a big fan of the dish soap too until I tried the 80% gray method. Have you tried that before, Michael?
I still use that method and the dish soap. I'm talking there's a brand of wine glass called Rydell's.
Like crystal.
They're the fancy.
They're not
quite,
crystal,
but like just
but they're just thin. Like you could literally flick that thing
and it sings.
And
80% gray doesn't do it for you for those.
No, I still, I back it up with soap, dude.
Yeah,
just to be safe, because usually they come in a set of 2, and the set costs $90 for the customer, and I just don't even want to risk it. You know, so
I was gonna say I've had success using the Blazer Orange just with the standard glass settings. The only thing that sucks about Blazer Orange is the fact that you have to weed out everything, like except for like the little stuff in between.
That's what it was. Alex and I realized we still had to do the weeding, and we were like, screw this stuff.
But if you just get like what I did is I took like a tape and I just wrapped my hand in it where the sticky side was out basically, and I just kind of rolled my hand so it made almost like a lint brush on it, and that actually got a lot of it off.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then it was only like a couple of pieces, but then you've got to wash the glass too now because you don't want to leave like residue on something. You're sitting up to somebody, be like, hey, here's your fancy glass, and they're like, what the fuck is this? So like, what did this guy do to this glass? But I feel like and that was, by the way, for pint glasses before I got the UV. So I agree, thicker glass, Blazer Orange killed it to me.
And one more pro tip, since we're talking about CO2s and glass, I know you're just talking about UV. I don't know if this applies to UV. You'll have to let me know. Another pro tip. In my experience, the cheaper the glass, the better it's going to engrave.
It really is. You know why?
The cheaper quality of glass will always engrave better than the more expensive
lead content, baby.
Yep.
I was going to go like that and the silica. I feel like the silica isn't pressed as hard because they're moving them quick and it's like machine made versus like the handmade stuff. And so the process that it goes through, I don't know if it cools quicker or something like that. Like it's just the process. But like he's exactly right. Like the dollar store stuff, JDS has really great products that like I really like their glass. I mean, I think I've heard people say like, well, I pay a quarter cheaper, for that because where I get my stuff from, and that's cool. But this thing made it to my door. There was one time where a couple came broken. I just sent that they were like, send the whole case back. we'll send you a new one.
Yeah, they're good.
And so I really appreciate the kind of stuff. And it usually takes a couple days, and so just a thought. But I had really a lot to do with the stuff from like the dollar store, Dollar General.
Yeah.
So just saying.
SP Productions, I just wanted to hit this real quick because I've been looking at it. Says, did you ever check how many watts the Odyssey is going to draw while in use? And it never, I've done a bunch of stuff with it at this point. Getting it set up, it's never drawn more than 200 watts, which is dope. So pretty low key for LBX on that.
Do you see, is that Cali Graphics or Call Graphics? I'm blind. I'm old.
Call Graphics.
Oh yeah, it says any tips having 2 fiber laser JPT connecting to one computer.
Yeah, run LightBurn. And then you can run multiple instances of LightBurn and select the laser based on the COM port. So you can literally run 2 of them side by side on the same monitor if you wanted to. I would probably recommend a second monitor, but you could do it, and it works flawlessly. We've all tested it.
I've run up to 4 lasers at a time.
One thing to consider too is like if you have 2 JPT sources though, Kyle, did they ever fix that bug with the multiple JPT sources not understanding each other, or like the computer?
It's not about understanding each other. So
connecting.
It was something that they were addressing, but basically, if you open LightBurn and you have a MOPA source using a digital one of the digital control cards versus a standard control card. It's a different model. It doesn't understand each other. It uses different lingo. You can think of it that way. And essentially, when it sends that, I guess it's a pair up command or one of the initiating commands to talk to the control card. It freezes. It returns like a response that's not really working, and it freezes the software and the control card. So the trick to that is set a default to your gantry. And then set the device and then connect to it and then turn the laser on.
Also, if you don't have a gantry, make one so that you do.
You can make a fake device. You could make a fake diode. It wouldn't matter. Just set that to your default so when you open the software, it doesn't automatically try and pair to any one of the devices that it is.
I don't think we have one in the LightBurn for Gantry Crash Course yet, but in the LightBurn for Galvo Crash Course, I know I did an episode on running multiple instances of LightBurn. So if you need more specific instructions than open 2 LightBurns, that would be the episode to check out. So I'd watch that one for sure.
And if you do have a UV laser, if it has JPT source, it's the same thing. Just so you know, because that was like one of the first things that happened when I got mine. I was like, what the hell's happening? Why won't it work? And I was like freaking out for a good like 30 minutes. And then we realized like, oh, it's a JPT source. Duh. And then just boop, 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 done.
Willie says, by the way, got the official okay from the wife. We are going to LBX.
Hey. Nice.
The multiple instances of LightBurn for Gantry Crash Course is still, I think, like 5 episodes ahead of where we are.
Cubing Cracked is popping in to say, hey, what up, Cubing? Good to see you, as usual. Cubing's asking, does anyone have tips for what to do once you get your CO2 laser? I'm just about to get mine from shipping and wondered what to look out for. We talk about this fairly regularly on the podcast. Kyle, does your brain have on tap the episode where we went really in depth on this topic?
I don't, but I do have a good first pro tip. Don't crush your toes.
Yeah, that's helpful. That's a good start for sure.
Ooh, I have a good one for
Maybe
you.
wear steel toe boots if you have them.
Go to Lowe's or go to Home Depot. I agree with Kyle, and get a pry bar. Like if it's something that's getting dropped off and you have to crack it open, just get a pry bar, man. Like it's like $10 and it's just so nice. Anytime you buy your Galvo, like I think every Galvo that's come, the first time I was so nervous I was gonna break stuff with the pry bar, and everything stays intact. Especially if you can make, if you didn't buy a stand for it, you can use the wood to make a stand for it. So
and when you're done unboxing the crate, you can pretend to be Gordon Freeman. So
yeah, literally.
That's helpful.
I'm not. I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now.
Yeah.
I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now.
Yeah.
I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now. I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now. I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now. I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now. I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now. I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now. I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now. I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now. I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now. I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now. I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now. I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now. I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now. I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now. I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now. I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now. I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now. I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now. I just have the sound of the crowbar in my head now. I just have the sound of Another thing is I'm not sure who you got it from or what CO2 model it is, but usually there's
Tech, right?
Yeah, usually there's you want to check for like I'm assuming you're asking like what to check for to see if it's something's wrong or whatever, but look for like how the gantry's held in place, like release all those clips, because I don't know how well the instructions are going to come with it, right?
Oh my God! Unzip tie your gantry before you turn it on.
Unzip tie your gantry. That's I'm trying to get.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. I know we're talking about crowbars and stuff. But I'm
So
trying to
true.
like think of.
Let's
So
clarify that a little further.
Unzip your gantry. Try to open up
after you get it in place.
Yes, yes. After you get it in
Don't
place.
turn it on its side after you cut the zip tie off. That's a bad idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Make sure Go ahead, Michael.
No, just open up panels, take a look inside. You know, just look for anything that was put in there for shipping, that like a piece of foam, random rogue pieces of foam that are left in there that you might not have seen or something, because you might have done the zip ties and all of a sudden, you know, you're screwing around and there's some other piece of foam left in there that could jack your stuff up. So
the things I always recommend every time this comes up, and it comes up so often on this show, is rip. I personally, I would just rip all of the tubing out and replace it. Get good silicone tubing and just put good silicone tubing in there. If there's any spots in your case, especially if it's the red and black, where it's like bending up around a corner and up through like a hole and then twisted up into the like tube, you can get little 90-degree elbow joints, and you just hose, and then it'll just turn around corners no problem, and you don't have to kink and bend the hose. It's not a big deal when you first get the machine home and you plug it in, but 7, 8, 9 months of pushing hot water through a kinked silicone piece of tubing, and it like starts to deform that way, and eventually it just
collapses on itself.
Yeah, it collapses in on itself, and it's a big problem. So just rip all of that out, get rid of it, put better silicone tubing in there. You just measure the inner diameter, outer diameter, go on Amazon, match it up, buy it, get a big length of it, you just cut it to the length you need. Replace all of the zip ties holding that tubing in place with real hose clamps. Again, just go on Amazon, get some real hose clamps and clamp the hoses to their little, spigot ports, because all of those kind of like generic machines, regardless of where they're coming from, Ohmtech, Momport, whatever, even the Eon had some zip ties in it. Get rid of the zip ties. Put some hose clamps in your machine. I promise, if you go back in the history on the channel, you can find the exact day that my zip ties failed and my laser dumped all of its water. Literally the chiller was going, so it was just pumping water out onto the floor until the chiller was empty while the laser was running. You don't want that to happen. Just get some hose clamps. They cost nothing. And then third, mirrors and lenses. God, the lens that ships with the Ohmtech is such a piece of garbage, and you can get literally anything else, and it's going to be better. I really like, there's 10 High makes some really great ones on Amazon. Cloud Ray has some ones that I'm sure they've white labeled and slapped their name on, but they're decent. If you want to be ritzy, go to like American Photonics. It really doesn't matter. Just get anything else and just throw the lens that's in there. It's probably a 2-inch lens. Just throw it away. Just throw it in the garbage. And the mirrors. Get some, what are the good ones called, Kyle? Not the
zinc selenium.
Yeah, Z
I can't
and
remember
SE.
that.
That's the zinc selenium ones.
Yeah, there's two kinds. There's CVD and anybody? It's like
you got
SVD.
me on that one, man.
The CVD are the Chinese ones, and then there's American ones, and it's because the US ones aren't just better because they're made in the US. The US has a different process for putting the zinc selenium coating on it or whatever, and it gives you a better like reflection. I don't know how, why, whatever. Just
I can
get
tell
the,
you
get the US ones. They're like $3 more.
If you look in the last, was it millijoule number 10 or 11, where we actually, that was one of the things that I brought up was the sale that was going on there.
Mm-hmm.
The link
American
to it
Photonics.
actually goes right to that zinc selenium, the mirror set, in American Photonics, and it actually has an explanation of it on there. So I'll try and find that real quick.
And
but
we have links to all of this on the buying guide already,
right.
too. So if you go to lasereverything.net/buying guide, literally all of it, including the silicone tubing, is on there waiting for you. So you can check that link out too.
I was going to say, while you're waiting, the extra stuff that people forget about, go buy, I don't know if you can see it or not, but literally the white lithium grease, you can go to Lowe's or Home Depot.
The Lucas white lithium grease.
Yes, there it is right there.
It's very specific.
Lucas white lithium, this tube was like $6. If you go on Amazon, they sell like 5 tubes at a time. You can't really find like 1 tube at a time.
You're not even going to go through 1 tube in
so
the lifetime of the machine.
One tube will last you. Yeah.
So
if you're using it the way you should.
So that'll be good, because if your gantry comes and it's not really, I know this sounds so weird because we've been talking about kinks and hose, and now I'm talking about lubrication in small packets. But for cleanliness, also make sure you get lens wipes. Like, honestly, go to Sam's Club, or like I got a box of these little guys here, and they're awesome because this works for mirrors. And dude, I just got done doing acrylic. Like that's the plastic payday video. I mean, I did like 4 hours worth of acrylic cutting and engraving, and that dust goes everywhere, even with great exhaust, even with air supply. It's just everywhere. And so when I took out the lens to clean it, this just makes life super easy, super quick. You can toss them, trash them. That way you're not using something dirty. You're not messing up anything. So that's a really good thing
Kyle,
to get now.
Are you still going to do an episode on like re-greasing gantry rails too?
Yes, I will be doing a maintenance video.
I was doing it
one
way, and you were like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I was like,
"Yeah,
I'm greasing my rails," and you're like, "No, you're not."
It's like the equivalent to that. Okay, so just for context, there is a grease port on rail blocks. Okay. Some of them are blocked with a little Allen bolt, and some of them are not. Either way, it doesn't matter, but that's actually a grease fitting. So some people will tell you to put lube directly on the rail and just leave it there. And that's just gross, because then it picks up everything in the air that floats past it. It's kind of like taking a piece of duct tape and sticking it to the front of your car with the sticky part out, and you just catch everything on the way by.
That's a great way to look at it, too.
So there's a fitting that you can pump oil into, and it gets it directly into the bearing, and now you don't have grease all over your rail that you have to either clean off or leave there, right?
See, now, this is an audio podcast, and I have the benefit of being here live, and I have video, and I still have no idea what you're talking about. So you're definitely going to have to make a video about this. Because I can't see it.
I actually need to do mine again, so we could do that together. That'd be an easy one.
Confused and scared.
We could tag team that one.
I heard grease and nipples,
and tag team.
Buckshot says LMAO Half-Life boys.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, always now
Half-Life,
forever. Cuban Cracked did confirm OhmTech red and black 100 watt.
Nice.
So
cool.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, check your alignment, check your belts.
Way to go, by the way, getting that
is
machine,
asking
dude.
why Cuban can't decrate his laser with a 12 gauge.
Well,
I
thought Buckshot would ask that, actually.
You might do more than unbox.
Right.
Cuban Cracked is saying, sorry to bother with another question. Never, dude. That's ridiculous. What kind of lens do I need for a 100 watt fiber? Every time I look for a lens, they say it's only made for 60 watts or lower. So, first of all, like, you can use any lens and it's probably going to be fine. But what they really want you to get are, Kyle?
Quartz lenses.
There it is.
The reason why they're saying that is because quartz lenses can handle the additional power that you're throwing through it in that level of density. So there is a potential for breaking, shattering, cracking the lens. It kind of behaves almost like if there was dirt on the lens and you hit it with like a 60 watt or a 30 watt and it just superheated the glass where that speck of stuff is and it breaks it. It can do the same thing if you crank the power up, and it heats up the glass, even if there's nothing on the lens.
What's your anecdotal experience been with that, Kyle? Like,
I don't know because I have quartz lenses for it.
all of your lenses are quartz?
Most of mine are quartz, not all of them.
Science. I want to do some fact finding on that.
I mean, I guess I could for science it and throw we could order a crappy like 70 millimeter lens and just crank the power to 100 and bury it into some steel and see what happens.
Just run it for like 24
Maybe
hours.
not a 70 actually, because I don't want it to be that close to the lens when it, or the material.
I was gonna say it just shatters everywhere.
No, we need maybe like a 150.
No.
I want a little focus distance between the rest of the machine and the. Ooh.
Just set up some cardboard around it to catch all the fragmentation.
Yeah. We'll figure something out to test that later.
Sam is asking, and this is kind of a Kyle question because it's very LightBurn specific, and you've been keeping up with this, Kyle.
What's up?
You all hear anything when LightBurn macro feature will work for Galvo? Also, any plans on making LightBurn macro videos for gantry on Laser Everything?
We've not dug into that yet.
Is that like macro, like computer macro?
That's what I'm assuming he's referring to, yeah.
I didn't even know that LightBurn had macro capabilities. That's interesting.
Yeah, I haven't dug into it at all. I haven't had a use case for it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like.
I'm certainly not gonna...
I'm sure somebody's going to find a use case for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to ignore it now that I know that it exists. We'll have to touch on it, but I don't know what LightBurn's plans are for introducing that to Galvo. We can certainly look into it on Gantry, though. I have no problem with that.
Yep.
Hey, Love just dropped us ye old super chat, $9.99.
Yay!
Thanks so much,
you,
Laura.
Love.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. And, I actually have to pop off for a second, but I'll be right back. So,
all right.
fill
We'll
the
keep hitting
air,
some
boys.
questions.
All right.
Call Graphics says Mactron told me to use 2 different computers when doing 2 different lasers. So that is required if you're using EasyCAD, which is what ships with the machine by default. So they're not wrong, but you do have additional capabilities when you opt to use LightBurn, and the ability to use one computer to do many lasers is one of them.
I mean, if you can afford it, that would be like the ideal answer. You know,
I would still prefer using one computer, to be honest, because I don't have room for like 6 computers down here.
Yeah. The only reason I was saying ideal is like if you ever decide to you either run out of room or you have to move something. Like I'm actually upgrading to a new computer. Kyle has laughed at me because I've had this new computer for like 2 weeks and I still haven't moved everything over to it. But like I'm in the middle of jobs and things work right here, so I'm just like, I'll just leave it for a little bit. Like I'm that guy. Like if it works, don't fuck with it. Or mess with it. Oops. But either way, it's one of those things where like it'll be nice too because I've got a couple different things heading this way that need another computer, so I actually be able to kind of take that over there. But as you're growing, I agree with Kyle. Like if you don't need to spend the money, why, right? If that's an expense, because that few $100s, like that $300 or $400 to get a machine that'll run it, can buy you the lenses, it can buy you the mirrors, it can buy you all the extra stuff that we just talked about, and keeps you in the black, which is where you want to be.
That's right.
Yeah. And Austin says, what do you guys use for design software? I have a hard time using Adobe, but if it comes to it, I'll suck it up. At least a lot of us on the LightBurn team, not everybody, or not, oh my God, LightBurn. Everybody on the Laser Everything team enjoys using Adobe products for the most part. However, I like to use LightBurn for a lot of my simple stuff. Yep. If I'm not being super artistic, if I can do it with basic shapes, with letters, using Boolean, subtract and union and, whatever other. If I don't have to go crazy with Adobe and I can do it faster in LightBurn, I will absolutely do it in LightBurn. But yeah, we've dabbled with a little bit of everything from Inkscape to Affinity to Adobe to, Microsoft Paint. So,
Yeah, I
just
get through, crash through the Adobe doors, man. Just don't let those big tall castle doors be scary. You're gonna get through them. Once you get through them and you're in the Adobe castle, you'll look back and realize that was it's going to be really beneficial, and I can see how LightBurn is very very helpful at making cutting designs and using the tools that are in LightBurn for mapping out. Like I watched you, Kyle, make that rotary jig for the business cards, in LightBurn.
So quick and easy, dude.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Could you do that in Adobe? Totally. But if you've got LightBurn and the tools, then that's great. But for design, you did say what design software. So for design, you're really just going to want to break through it and just keep at Adobe until you're comfortable and you're out of the uncomfortable zone.
And one thing I would add to both of what these guys said is price. I know is something that people get a little agitated about because they have to pay a fee. But we had May come on before. If you guys don't know her, she's awesome. And she's one of the Adobe, the team, basically like their ambassadors. And she was talking about the different price scales that they have. So if you only are going to use Adobe Illustrator, you can just buy Adobe Illustrator. If you're only going to use Express, but I mean, I think like Michael said, once you start using the software and you watch a few videos to learn what it is you're trying to do, and you can do it. And I know Alex has videos too of using Adobe. Michael has some, like the video you just dropped. Yep. And Michael,
and the one that I never use because it's weird. Affinity Designer. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Having a stroke.
But Michael's last video literally talks about how to go through and do all that, so it's really cool. Or maybe not last video, but the last one I looked at.
No, it's the most recent one. Has a lot of good.
It popped Adobe up on my thing, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool."
There's a lot of good Adobe stuff in there. Like the whole video is almost Adobe.
So. Yeah, and so that's what I was gonna say. So see, my brain knows stuff. But long story short, don't be afraid that's to me. It's one of those things like you're investing in it. It's not a cost so much as it is like a utility. So yep.
Pro tip. If you have anyone in your household, either yourself or maybe your wife that is an educator or a teacher, they will give you everything for a ridiculously cheap price. Every piece of Adobe software that they make, like for, it's like $20 or something. If you can prove that you're an educator.
Yeah, it's educator or student, right?
Yeah, either one, and you just get the whole thing.
It's
enroll
killer.
that $1,500 community college course. Get that educator or student email. Send it in. Spend more, save more.
Or pay for Adobe. It's not that expensive, and it's a critical.
This guy's crazy.
It's critical.
So Cuban Crack says, so if I was going to just do 50% power for 5x7 pictures with a 400mm lens, would that be all right? Where'd you get a 400mm lens, dude?
How is your tower tall enough? Do you have what is that?
He just stands there with it.
Would an 80 centimeter even cut it for that?
An 80 would probably, because a 300's 463mm for me.
It'd be at the tippy top, though.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a legit 400mm workspace lens, that's
like
huge.
570.
What are you even putting under
you
that?
could try it. I wouldn't do it with a very expensive lens if you're going to give it a go unless it's made for it.
We need to get this kid
If you're going to test it out, test it with a cheap lens.
My first thought is like really cool aluminum signs and signage for factories and power plants.
I want to talk. I want to talk to Cubing. I want to get him on here. We need to do like a Cubing Cracked interview. I want his story. This kid's so interesting to me. He's coming on asking.
We're gonna crack Cubing Cracked.
Yeah, like a great. Oh, that's such a good. That's such a good title. I want to have him on. We're gonna Cubing. You're coming on. I saw Moss. Let's shout this one out real quick. Moss says 60 watt EM7 JPT Cloud Ray MOPA. Seeing a couple warps in my Cloud Ray enclosure in the shape of what I was burning. These lasers are kind of scary. One in the top and one in the side.
Holy
I can
moly.
send pics if needed. Hey, guess what? These lasers generate laser radiation, and it fills the room that you're in. Put your fucking glasses
Or the
on.
enclosure.
Wear your goddamn safety glasses. Please. These things are dangerous. They are scary. They're not toys. They're bad for you. It's not, it's not something where it's like going to melt your skin off and give you cancer. It's not that kind of radiation, but it's radiation, and it's real bad for your eyes. So please make sure you're wearing safety goggles and maybe don't get naked and tan in front of it.
Unless it's a UV machine. That's okay.
Yeah, for the most part, guys, like these are infrared lasers. They're like space heaters, really focused space heaters, but that they can still blind you, and it's just like this kind of stuff. I don't even need to see pictures. I've seen pictures of this kind of phenomenon before, and it's real, and these things reflect even when they don't look like they are reflecting. You just can't see it. So please exercise caution. Use your equipment wisely and safely. And to Moss, it sounds, bro, like your enclosure is doing its job by absorbing that stuff instead of you and the environment. So, don't trip. I just keep using it, but I would put some eyewear on.
Keep an eye on it.
Not.
Yeah,
keep an eye on it over
and
time.
Moss, if you want to see it safely, you can go over a little shameless self-promotion and watch my video, Seeing the Unseen, if you would like to see it safely.
Yeah, for real.
Two things.
I just wanted to shout that one out.
Yeah, I see two things, because that one relates to kind of what you guys are talking about, which is Gretchling asked, do you think that what's coming off the lasers messes with monitors at all, like computer monitors?
I mean,
not unless it's like a direct reflection.
Yeah, so the passive rays filling the room probably wouldn't affect the monitors, not in the short term by any means. Probably 10 years from now, if you unbox a new one compared to the old one you'd probably have more wear from just using the monitor. But direct rays is what's occurring.
Like
direct reflections.
The
indirect ones can still kill your eyes.
Is probably doing more damage to the monitor than the laser will in a lifetime.
Yeah,
and
your eyes are far more sensitive.
Now, it will mess up remote controls that are IR remote controls, like that we've talked about.
It will interfere.
Not mess it up, but it'll just interfere.
Yeah, with remote controls.
That's the only thing that I
can
think
Iron Curtain of infrared.
And all laser wavelengths can damage camera sensors. So unless you've got a bunch of super expensive cameras lying around and you can spare one, if something bad happens, I would go for like a cheapo webcam.
Like you.
Yeah, that's right. I have the
LMA.
LMA.
If you can spare one, send one to me.
The LMA positions us very well to capture high quality footage of these machines, but for the general public, I would recommend a cheap-ass webcam because you can damage camera sensors.
Point in case I'm using the Canon to capture the coin right now.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, if you notice with Kyle's, it's not directly above it. It's off to the side and over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's off to the side and over, away from the redirection angle of the beam hitting the coin.
Miranda says somebody posted a picture of burned goggles recently, I believe. I think it was Flashback. I didn't see that. Did you guys see that? I'm assuming she's talking about Facebook. Because
I saw something on Facebook earlier, but I didn't know what it was because I didn't have my glasses with me. But it was like a melted something. I think it was next to like a diode. From
maybe? A CO2 or a diode. Maybe.
I thought it was a diode.
Matt is like the Wilma of laser everything. I can't see without. No, I'm sorry.
Listen here, I don't know who said that because I'm also partially deaf, but the other thing I was going to tell you for going back to Cuban Cracked, it was he said it's a 300 by 300 workspace. He just saw the number 400 on it because that's the F equals 430.
Okay. That makes sense.
So that's what that is. So anyway, sorry.
a 300. Yeah, you can get a pretty cheap 300 lens replaced unless it's quartz. Then you're probably talking a couple $100.
And I've
I think they're
run
like
pretty
4.
high power. I've run pretty high power through 300 before, often. So I feel like you can do that pretty steadily without any issues.
Yeah, I think
On 100 watt?
I think the real quartz lenses are like
100 watt.
$350 to $400 depending on the focal length.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Not
If
100 watt, by
If
the
you're
way.
spending
to clarify.
$80 on a quartz lens, it's probably not quartz. All right,
Quartz
I
with
think
On
that's,
sale, they're like
Quartz.
$250.
we've done our due diligence. Oh, there you go, Michael.
That's what
that one's for
radiation
you.
does to you.
Our doo-doo.
That one's for you, buddy. Kyle, are we gonna get to see this coin before we roll out?
I'm checking it out.
You can see it in the video that's going to be coming out.
All right. He's gonna make us wait for the teaser. Michael, what's on the horizon over at Laser Engraving 911?
What's on the horizon? Next one I got coming out is gonna be pretty cool. It's gonna be on a whittle fiber laser.
A itty bitty,
Itty bitty.
a whittle baby.
Yeah, just a whittle baby, but it's pretty cool, actually.
Chill. Dope.
Yeah.
I like it. Can't wait to see it. Go subscribe to Michael's channel, guys. Laser Engraving 911. If you are joining us from Michael's channel tonight, thanks for being here. We appreciate having you guys around. And don't forget, you can catch the Laser Source podcast from now on right here on Laser Everything TV, Tuesdays at 9 o'clock p.m. EST. For, again, multiple reasons. We kind of talked about it while we were testing things earlier. But essentially, it's going to speed up our editing workflow. And Michael said, not Michael Mullins here with us, but Michael, the editor, said that he can basically crank these out 4 times faster when he's just doing audio. So if you want to see the video, if you like seeing our smiling faces, come live. Be here for the live show like you guys are right now, because this is going to be the only video. The next time we upload an episode of the podcast edited to the channel, it's going to be audio only. So make sure you keep it locked to LETV on those Tuesdays so that you can hit that up here. And Dave, shout out to Dave for
Dave.
a for $13.99 super chat. What is it with these? Have they always been like 99s? Has it always been like that? It's so weird. Keep up the great works, gents. Thumbs up. Word.
Thank you,
we
man.
appreciate you, Dave. And thank you to everybody else who came here and hung out with us live tonight. I seriously and sincerely appreciate each and every one of you being here. If you got value out of this episode of the Laser Source podcast, don't forget to smash the like button. Let everybody else know the content is good. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified the next time we upload an episode to the channel. Boyce would like you to go buy some merch. It's lasereverything.net/merch. And hey, we matchies.
Oh, we're like the negatives of each other.
I know, I like it. Oh, Kyle's. Ooh, hey, look at that.
Oh, fancy.
If you're listening to the audio version of this, you should have been here live. Now you're gonna have to wait for Kyle's episode to come out.
Well, he's
And,
also wants Keeping Crack to DM him so we can get you on the show.
If you haven't already bought your LBX tickets, make sure you do it so that we can hang out there in person in October. Really look forward to seeing you guys.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
That's the end of the show. We are going to cut back to LETV now because we can do that, which is pretty dope. And enjoy it. I think Jessica is going to have some new episodes added to that playlist soon, so you should see the content over there continue to expand. Is there anything else? Am I missing, guys? We good?
Discord, LMA.
Discord and LMA, and what's the other one? Oh, Facebook. Gross. Links to all those down in the description. Discord, Facebook, absolutely free. If you need help, if you didn't get your question answered, hit those places up. We will get to you as fast as humanly possible, or one of our great community members will, like Michael Dias or Anthony. So links to those are down there too. If you enjoy what we do over here at Laser Everything, it's all thanks to our LMA members. They make all of the content that we upload here available for everyone for free. We don't lock anything behind paywalls because we have the LMA that supports the channel. And if you're not already a member over there, consider going to sign up. You can find out more over at masters.lasereverything.net. I think that's all I've got. If you guys are good,
I'm good.
then
I'm out.
thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Laser Source Podcast, and we will see you in the next one. Have a great night.
Oh, that was a good time.